Krys has got one of the most like amazing Instagram accounts. I've met him personally and been friends with him now for how many years? Like 2, 3 years. We met at a Tom Ferry Summit.
I was gonna say
That was
three or
when you did Tom X. You were like the speaker, I think.
yeah, yeah, at least three.
Yeah. And something I love about Krys is because even though he's almost like a little Instagram celebrity, he's like one of the kindest, most humble, genuine people to meet in real life and is so like giving and ready to share. And I love that about you is just that I'm like, if even though I know you're busy, he has like a wife and a baby and everything. Like if you were to text him a question like, hey, could you help with this or whatever, even the fact that he's like, yeah, I'll be on this webinar. I just love that I love that about Krys. So drop a 1 in the chat if you are already familiar with Krys, you follow his page, you're actually like here because of him. Drop a 1 in the chat if you know him.
Thanks,
I just want
Carolyn.
to see who we have in here.
Oh, Kim, what's up, Kim?
All right. And then drop a 2 if you are meeting Krys for the first time. I also want to see if there's like new introductions that are being made. All right, Shirley, Jared, brand new, awesome. Okay. So I will let Krys, if you want to just introduce yourself and like tell them a little bit about your business, your location, and kind of your journey, like maybe how you got started on Instagram. I'll just turn it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everybody. My name is Krys. That was a very flattering introduction. I'm from Southern California. My office is in Southeast Los Angeles. I live in Orange County. I grew up in Orange County. Real estate is a second career for me. I was a practicing attorney for a bunch of years before I transitioned into real estate. My family has been in this business 37 years now, so it just felt appropriate to sort of join them. Um, I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with Tom Ferry, but he definitely does a good job of making us think there's nothing outside the ecosystem. Because when I first joined, or when I first got into real estate, my mom took me to an elite retreat, and I remember him on stage. This was circa 2017, I believe, 17, 18. And he just said, it doesn't matter if you don't have clients, it doesn't matter what you're doing, just start, you can make video. And at that point, nobody really, I mean, at that point, I wasn't doing anything. I was trying to figure out how to get on the phones. I was just trying to figure out what this job is. So I just committed to showing up online once a week. I was really leaning on keeping current matters back then. I still really lean on them, but once a week, I would just dive into KCM and I would find a chart that I could understand well enough to articulate to somebody else. I would really just try to figure out one chart. And it didn't matter if it was my wife, well, she was my girlfriend back then, or if I was showing a house and somebody walked down the street, I would really look for anybody willing to hold the camera for me, like anybody. And I would just hold the chart and I would talk at it. That was before there was reels. And my cadence was just sort of once a week until the muscle was built. And I've just been trugging along since. My small team, which is we're kind of like a SEAL team, I guess, not by choice, just sort of by, at this point, I don't have enough bandwidth to figure out how to grow larger, but we it's pretty much my mom and I that focus on selling. We have one agent with us and then a support staff of a transaction coordinator, my creative director. We really believe in video first marketing, so we brought our video stuff in-house, and then my assistant. So there's 6 of us and we do about 100 to 115 transactions a year. I don't think I want to continue to run around as much as I do. It's getting harder with a baby. I'm sure everyone knows that has a family. This year, I think we'll finish right around 90, God willing, 90 something. And I love the ecosystem. Like I love real. I'm not a real agent. I don't know why I'm not a real agent. I love everyone in real and I love the industry. And I really believe in what we're doing. I believe in connecting with people via video. And I'm excited to be here. So that's my Cliff Notes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to share because I know there was several people in here that said they had not like just like met you before and were not like familiar with your account. So I'm just going to share Krys's page real quick just so we can see what it looks like. And if you're not following him, definitely give him a follow. So he is at Krys Benyamein. And if you look at his account, like, and I'm glad you kind of talked about your journey and where you started, because I feel like I'm calling this Instagram for normal people, which means people that are like just have the normal fears of like getting on video and like, okay, how am I going to do this? It may, maybe the content creation, whatever seems overwhelming. So it's helping people see like, okay, here's the strategies that are actually working. So a lot of people might look at this and go, oh my God, he has almost 30,000 followers. Your videos are always like super creative and funny.
2303 Primrose Ave in Whittier, California. Sitting on a desirable corner lot within the groves of Whittier, this stunning 4-bedroom, 3-bath residence boasts more than 2,200 square feet.
I'll just stop that there. You do amazing listing videos. You do some like comedy type stuff. I mean, just like it always looks like you're having fun with it. So some people might look at that and be like, okay, I don't come up with these ideas. I can't, like, I don't have that kind of following. So what I want to break down are just like things that you've discovered that have made your process of video creation like better, easier. Another big thing is like, how do you come up with ideas of just, stuff, like I said, they're like fun, interesting, like, just clever, a little bit different. Like, how are you coming up with these things? Because I don't want people to look at that and go, okay, this is great, but he's naturally creative. He's just naturally good on camera. So do you want to talk about like some of the processes? Like, what have you done to get better over the years to like where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think having a following or thinking that you're popular is relative, right? I think when you surround yourself with people that are constantly doing more than you, it's tough to not compare yourself,
Yeah.
but it's really important to not allow it to like cripple you or paralyze you or prevent you from like moving forward. And as I think a lot of the agent or industry friends that I have that are doing so much more than me, whether it's from production or video, you really just have to surround yourself with people that you aspire to be more like, but don't let it prevent you from like performing. So I am a very normal guy with very real fears and emotions and everything else. My superpower, and if you jump into you do so much content, it's crazy that you love. So my superpower, and this is from the beginning, was wanting to be undeniable. And in my opinion, undeniable was somebody that showed up consistently. And I had no Instagram etiquette when I started doing this, 6 years ago. Yeah, now this is year 6 of posting almost every single day. And at that point, I really had no etiquette. I was tagging Tom Ferry, Jason Pantana, the broke agent, in every single post, like really, really disgusting type of conduct. And I didn't know that was inappropriate, but I wanted like the world to see. And at the time, that was my world, that I was showing up. And I never cared, or I never wanted to get, let me say that again. I definitely cared, but I didn't let it prevent me from creating, that nothing was getting watched, that nothing was getting feedback, because I just told myself, if you just keep showing up, they won't be able to deny you. And you have to let your content iterate. You have to let it evolve. And unfortunately, there's no way to get through the shitty stuff. There's no way to get through sort of figuring out what you sound like until you put out the content. And it's a real struggle because you get no love in the beginning. You know what I mean? Even now, like I'm trying to figure out and iterate and break everything. Like it's funny to be doing this now because I really am about to change my approach to so many things, but you can't get lost in the performance of stuff. You can't get lost in people not engaging. You really have to, in my opinion, step one is building the muscle to just show up consistently. And consistent is whatever you deem it to be so that you can get started, right? So it was once a week for me for almost a full year. Gosh, that's like, I think you could probably speed up faster. There's better ways to do this. And then after that 1 year, I don't know if I regret it or not, but I just committed to 5 days a week. And it went from 1 to 5, and I haven't let that go. And maybe I should have, because once you get started, at least for me, and I don't know how some of you guys feel about this, it's like once you get a project started, I hate stopping. right? It's like once you start a podcast, I think that's what prevents people from wanting to start so many things is they don't want to stop. But it's important because I think the audience is beginning to get familiar with you. They are sort of getting into a routine. And it's just fascinating when you stop showing up, people reaching out and being like, are you okay? Where are you at? What's going on? So I guess very high level, I would say commit to a number and let your performance of showing up every day be all you want to prove to yourself. Like I went to the gym this morning, I'm just getting back into fitness and my workout fucking sucked. I like looked at my watch. I just like was paying attention to how much I sweat. It just wasn't my best day, right? But truthfully, I almost hit snooze on the alarm twice and I was just so proud of myself that I got out of bed. So not every single day is like an Academy Award winner, right? I'm not asking you to put out garbage. Like don't put out stuff. Everybody knows when you put things out there for vanity. Everybody knows when you put things out there, in my opinion, just to like show up that day. So give something meaningful, but remember, you're building the muscle, and that is a piece of this as well. And there's nothing wrong with everything not being a banger if the process for you is just building the muscle. And I think that's really important, especially when you get started.
And I think that's awesome advice. And I kind of went through the same journey. Everyone who's made videos is the same thing. Like if you go back and look at my first videos, they are so cringeworthy and horrible. And like I would never, even the topics I picked and whatever were so bad. It was literally, I liked how you said like walking down the street, you would grab a neighbor, whoever, like, hey, can you hold the camera? I
Yeah,
was getting my husband, like I didn't even have a tripod or a ring light or anything, but we kind of started on it during COVID. And I'm just like, hey, hold this. And you can tell like he's moving it slightly, it was so bad, but I'm like, hey, I put it out there. And once you start making stuff and you improve it, that's how you know, like, okay, this was a good one. But it's like you have to have the bad ones first by comparison. Um,
100%.
so I
And
love that honesty.
you asked me about the creative thing. So creativity is truly a muscle that you're building like anything else. And especially right now, I know everybody is practicing putting together their new buyer presentations. It doesn't really matter how good you are at it today because you're going to be better at it in 6 months, right? The depending part or the factor that's going to differentiate you is how many times you deliver that presentation between now and 6 months. I was just listening to, you guys know who Andrew Undum is? Andrew Undum, he's not a real agent. He's out of Baltimore, Maryland. He actually spoke at Real Rise, killer real estate agent selling, I don't know, like just a ton of real estate. And I was watching his buyer presentation. I was like, gosh, he is so good at it. Almost like deflating. Like, how do I get to this? And then I thought to myself, this motherfucker's been doing this same presentation for like 12 years now. Like it's almost so natural that I'm like, bro, you need a new script because it's too dialed in, right? And I just know that comes from repetition. So I would say that creativity comes from practice. It just comes from doing something regularly enough to be willing to test it. And with the creativity, I guess like I want to give people stuff that you can go run with today. It's really hard to give your opinion online when you're questioning whether you like it's really hard to give your opinion online when you're not comfortable online, right? So when this is not to be political, regardless how you feel about Donald Trump or Grant Cardone is a great example. They are incredibly polarizing characters, right? And they draw a line in the sand. And as a result of that very clear line in the sand, they have people that hate them like enemies, but then they don't have fans. They have like disciples, the Grant Cardone 10X people like love him. And I think that's because they're comfortable giving their opinion. So if you give your opinion, that is like the ultimate, right? And you're going to find your tribe of people that vibe with you. But I think it's hard to start there. So I know Sharon has the whole like, it's not rip off and duplicate. That's Tom, but Sharon had like something more eloquent, like redesign and duplicate. What does he say?
He said, tap that. That's what he's tap it and use it for inspiration.
Yeah, tab it and use it for inspiration. Where I'm going with it is until you feel comfortable to give your opinion, just synthesize the information in the chart and deliver the data, right? Until you feel comfortable in like giving your own opinion, tab my like video that you like turn it into your own. It doesn't have to be your opinion until you feel comfortable building that muscle. And eventually you get to tell the world how you feel. But I think there's levels to that, right? There's like dimensions to that. And some people are much more comfortable giving the internet all of themselves at first. And other people, like, it takes time. I don't think you should go on the internet and share your political beliefs. I don't think you should go on the internet and like really wave certain things that are going to ostracize, like eliminate groups of people that you might be willing to work with. However, I do think it is appropriate to give the world your opinion on what's happening in the real estate market. And if you're not confident in your belief of sharing that information, that's okay. Go give them whatever the local board says and cite the local board until you build that muscle.
No, I love that as well. Recently I also had Candace Carciopolo on here, and she was kind of talking about some of the same things getting going. And she was saying, if creativity, if you're like, oh, I'm not creative, whatever, she said, call it documenting. Like, document like what actually happened to you during the day, or like in your stories, document like maybe something you overcame with a buyer or a seller, or something that's happening in the industry. And so it's again kind of overcoming. Or if someone's got that, well, I'm not super creative, okay, you don't have to do like a dance, lip sync, whatever kind of crazy video, but it's just expressing it in your own style. But just get used to showing up.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, this is a wonderful piece of content opportunity. If you just set a time lapse of you watching the Zoom recording, it's showing people, like, you can figure out a way to turn that into something meaningful. I really am big on the language that we use, right? So we need, like, documenting, that's like a good way to put it. But I want you to call yourself creative, because creative is like a state of mind, like happy or sad. Like, these words that we are using to describe ourselves are really fucking powerful. And the more you go around parading, I am not creative, the less creative you will be. Right. And that is a fact. And that's what's like fascinating about, I mean, look at most of the like big top producers in this industry, or any sales agent, like any sales like game. They have like some morning routine dialed in. They're totally always charged up. They're pretty, I'm not saying that they're like extroverted and animated, but they are generally having like an ironclad state of mind, and they are not affected by what's going on. And you guys know this, like when you wake up in a shitty mood, or you are dealing with some family issue, it's really hard to pour into the clients, especially like we don't have a job that we're clocking into. So if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, next thing you know, you haven't done anything meaningful until 2 p.m. You're lucky if you get anything meaningful in. And that's the same thing with creativity. It's really hard to sit down at a table and dump some ideas when you are saying, I'm not creative, you're miserable about something else. Like, I'm not telling you that you need to go do yoga and like drop everything to work on your state of mind, but your state of mind is going to play a huge role in what you believe you need to be creative. So I think it goes hand in hand. Like, you got to be in the right state of mind to make some phone calls. You got to be in the right state of mind to serve people, to knock on doors, to host an open house with a like sincere smile on your face. It's the same thing with the content, right? You have to approach it from in the right state of mind. And then to like asterisk it, or just to like put something on top of that, you do not have to like, I mean, this is a rhetorical question. I'll just speak to myself. There are days that I do not want to do certain activities for my business, right? Like, I am tweaking this buyer presentation. I'm excited for Sharon's tomorrow, but I continue to tweak this thing that I'm working on, but it is the fucking bane of me right now. And it is not what I am excited and motivated to do in my business at this moment, right? But I am doing it because it's what's needed of me. And the creativity or the content creation part is exactly the same, right? Like, you might not be in any mood to sit down with a notepad and nothing else, no distractions, just a notepad and maybe all the videos that you've tabbed that you're going to reference for inspiration. And you really might not feel like doing that. But that's okay, because as you sit down and work through those feelings, you will become in the mood to do those things. And it's okay if the first 20 minutes, there's like a tremendous amount of friction. If there wasn't a lot of friction there, everybody would be doing it. And truthfully, there should be more friction because I think you should put more thought into something before you just hit record and then publish it online with not like we're in 2024. And if this Zoom was taking place in 2015, the name of the game was just fucking showing up on the internet. Right. But at this point, like you have to be a little bit more thoughtful. And that's good because we have a lot of thoughtful things that we can share. So put 20 minutes of effort before whatever you're going to create and watch you put out something way more meaningful. Watch you deliver something way more valuable. And it wasn't easy when you got started, but that's like most things in this business. And then the timing, like, let me share something about the timing. If creativity is not feeling natural for you, do not wait until after lunch or 6 p.m. to do the heaviest brainstorming of your day. Like it's different if you're somebody who is like firing off ideas. Like I want you to prospect in the morning. Like I want you to do the hardest shit when you are fired up the most. So if you know that your business needs video right now and you are reluctant to make video, you need to sit down to do this stuff at the best part of the day for you. So as I was designing my day today and I knew we were doing this, but I really need to record some content and like everything I had in between, I was like, man, am I going to shoot stuff at 6 p.m.? And truthfully, I was just like, no, just get the content ready because at 6 p.m., like you're going to be roasted and these videos are going to come out dog shit. So like I need to record them when I'm fresh. So just like keep that in mind. I hope that's helpful. I'm kind of ranting.
No, it's super helpful. I agree with that too. I have moments where I feel more creative, the same thing. I also, someone asked, like, what do you do to get in the right state of mind? For me, if I get up, I will go for like a run around my neighborhood. I will listen to music. I have like, just, I don't know, just stuff that just kind of puts me in a better mood. And then I come home and then I can like, I'll have a day where I just brainstorm video stuff. Someone's asking you specifically, Jared, put in the comments, what activities do you get? What activities do you do to get in the right state of mind if you're not feeling that way?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll tell you what I do to get in the right state of mind, but Shannon said something that I think is, I don't want it to be so obvious that I don't share it because this is big. Don't approach the content, in my opinion, to come up with the ideas, shoot the content, and write the captions like all in one day. That is an overwhelming task. And like, we are real estate agents, right? So I think that is not the best approach. I think the best approach is on Monday or Tuesday, whatever your day is. That's your brainstorming script writing day. You're not going to pick up a camera. You're just going to have all of the tabs, all of the tabs open. You're going to have a note page on your iPad or your computer, and you are just going to come up with the ideas and structure the scripts or the bullet points or whatever. And it's not like, this is for me, it's not ambiguous. This is like very clear. Video number 1, title, script if I have a script. If it's going to be something long form and I'm riffing, I have my bullet points. You do not want to adjust that creative stuff when you're getting ready to shoot, because when you're shooting is when you are like, this shit needs to be on. You know what I mean? And you need to be dialed in. So when you're focusing on what I wrote or what I think I'm saying, like, no, there's a time for that. And when you're shooting, there's a time for that. And then when it's time to publish, write captions, automate, do your many chats, there's a separate time for that. And if you put it all together at the same time, it's just like, you can't get in the flow state. You know what I mean? It's hard to get into the flow state. And this, I'm coming to you, Jared. When you are sitting down, I imagine that like Ray said, like, are you guys saving videos that inspire you? If you went to your archive or your saved stuff on Instagram or YouTube, I would imagine a lot of you guys have some stuff saved. If you don't, that's a great place to start. Just start saving stuff. For me, I will not start with my most complicated idea. I'm not going to start with this like esoteric, oh, I'm thinking about these shots. How am I going to deliver this? No, that's not where the flow state begins. It begins with the easiest concept you have. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have this one that I've been wanting to record, like what happens to the real estate market historically around elections. There's like so many articles that you can find about that. Like what happens to house prices around elections? What happens to interest rate around elections? I like the data stuff. Like it's easy. You know what I mean? You can find the data, you redeliver the data. Start with simple things you can wrap your head around, here are the top 3 parks in my neighborhood, whatever. Start with the simple ones. It's going to take a little bit of time to be flowing. And then once you're flowing, move to the more complicated ideas. Move to the ones that are a little bit more heavy lifting. Don't start with the one that's going to take you an hour, because it's like it takes a while to feel that, like, that flow, that inertia, that flow state, the activities that get in the right state of mind. So I am trying to get back into the right state of mind more frequently, because I feel like I fell out of it for so long. So I would say, number one, you got to surround yourself with people that fill up your cup. And if, like, this is so, like, I really mean this. If you know you have to come up with something creative, and there is someone or something in your life that puts you in a bad mindset, don't pick up the phone or don't call them. Don't be around that before you need to start functioning. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're in a tizzy with somebody and they're calling you before you're about to, like, start getting creative, save it for afterwards, because I think that the creative is most affected by, like, it can really be stifled by negativity. I think moving around and getting outside is huge. I used to do a lot of work with music on, and then I read some study that was like, no, we can't multitask that well. You really shouldn't be, like, studying with music on. Like, during law school, I was like, yeah, I should have music on while I'm, like, reading. And it's just like, no, don't do that. However, when it comes to making video, I will say that I do like having some music on to, like, set the mood a little bit, to get my juices flowing. I love to stand, so it's not uncommon. And this is the thing about people who deliver good content, in my opinion. If you are delivering the content that you've written yourself for yourself, you're practicing even before you shoot the video. So it's not uncommon for me to be, like, standing in my living room thinking about whatever the video is going to be. And it's like, here are 3 things that, like, I love about this house. And I'm kind of, like, blocking and repeating what I'm going to be saying. And the reason why I think it's so effective is because when I shoot the video that day, it's like, damn, I recorded it or I practiced it like 10 times before the camera started running. So it's that much more natural. So I think to allow your body to move is a big piece. I mean, this is being recorded, so I don't know what I want to say. Like, if you are, it really, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I was going to say, like, if you want to have a glass of wine and that gets your juices flowing, because it's the creative part, right? So if you have a glass of wine and it's, like, the appropriate time of the day to, like, drink or smoke something, I'm not going to tell you not to do that, but just, like, keep in mind, you're there to get some work done.
And no, I think that's brilliant advice. And there's, like, so many things. I also had learned that, I think it was Brock Johnson had said something similar. If you follow him, he's a big Instagram coach, but I, for a while, was trying to do the, like, shoot it, edit it, do the caption, and it's like 3 different parts of your brain. And then I also, for a while, was doing Tom Ferry, like, hour of power first thing in the morning. Well, then I'm derailed by all these crazy, like, conversations of, like, oh, I've got this issue, whatever. And so I now, like I said, that's why I'm like, I like to run. And then I just come home and it's like, I'm thinking, I got ideas thinking even while I'm, like, running. And then
Yeah.
I just, like, brainstorm it out. And then it's like, okay, now I'm going to film it. And then I do the editing or, like, the caption as, like, when I'm posting it, which at that point is not that hard. But at least that way you're not like it, like, okay, now I got to write. And it's like going back and forth from left brain to right brain. And so I think that's, like, awesome advice. And just, again, it's like everyone find your flow, like what makes you in that mood where you're, in the right energy.
Right. And it's bite-sized pieces, and I think this is the tough thing. I think people are steering away from it because the industry is getting more difficult and, like, constricting. But for a lot of years, we could spend so much time on bullshit we were putting on the internet because you could sell houses with your eyes closed, right? And I think a lot of people are feeling the change, which is a positive thing, because the real estate part of our jobs is what makes the content really good. So I think the manageable approach, or as I am revisiting how I was making stuff, why I am making it, I think the bite-sized piece, and to have a calendar or a schedule of things that are non-negotiable in your life is like the most holistic, safe way to do this. So if you're going to commit to 2 videos a week or 3 videos a week, maybe on Mondays every week. Like, I really like having, you guys know that book, Atomic Habits?
Yeah.
it's just like really nice to have things that you can check off a list. So I guess what I would say is, what is important to you in your business? The hour of power is important. Sending direct messages is important. Set yourself up with some metrics that you want to follow that are manageable to build the muscle that video fits into, right? Because I don't think Shannon, I don't think Ray, I don't think Kim, nobody on this Zoom that I know, Howard, there's a lot of faces I know, would tell you that you should just like stop doing what you're doing and make videos instead. That's like not the approach. That's like a really shitty approach. The approach is to weave video into your business and do everything else that helps you cultivate a business, right? So like, as I am thinking about what my daily goals or daily tasks or whatever, it's like, I love the ideas. I post one video a day. That's me. That's not you right now, right? Every single week, I want to be adding 5 people to my database. So if I'm at the gym, I'm at the pool, I'm walking down the street, like I'm not like salesy about it, but if I get your Instagram handle, I put your Instagram handle in my CRM so I can remember to send you a DM. And that makes me feel good. So at the end of the week or on Mondays, the following week, I'm just like, did you hit your goals? Did you hit your goals? And the video is just one piece of that, right? So I think of the video as one piece of everything else that you guys are trying to do. And if you are doing many other things and just trying to get started on video, make it manageable for you. Do not approach this to say, I'm going to be like Gary Vee by next week. Like such a bad, unreasonable, just crippling way to approach the content. Because what are we rushing towards? Like, it's so funny. Like, and I appreciate you, Shannon, like 30,000 Instagram followers. Like, great. But like, what's the point of it? You know what I mean? Like, that's nothing compared to Ryan Serhant. That's nothing compared to Cristiano. Like, it's all relative. And 300 is so much more than you had when you first started, right? So it's just like, man, we are just so in our own ways. I've been thinking a lot about this, not leading up to this, but just so much about myself and the content. So this is a bit cathartic, not exactly maybe what you were expecting.
No, it's perfect. One of the questions I wanted to ask, because you said earlier that you're rethinking your content. So I wanted to kind of get into like, what content do you think is working really well right now? And then the second part is, what changes are you making?
Yeah. So, oof. I think for a lot of years, it was just important to show up, right? And I'm a human like anybody else. So when I was getting feedback and positive affirmation, I started doing more of that stuff. And what I've realized is real estate agents are going to watch and consume whatever you put out. So I think, there was a lot of agent to agent content, which I'm really grateful for because I do get a ton of referrals. And funny enough, I get plenty from real agents. But as I think about like the consumer and being a business like anything else, it's just making me think much more purposefully with the stuff that we're putting out there. So what I am breaking or restarting is I want to give the consumer something that they want like all the time to binge watch. And like, because if you come to my page, unless you fuck with Krys Benyamein, I'm not exactly the page to consume exclusive houses, right? I'm not the page to learn everything about a certain neighborhood. I'm the page to learn about a lot of things Southern California through my eyes, but to really learn and know me. So given that we're spending so much money and so much time on the content, and then I have resources like Tim or Ray to lean on, or Ken Posick, or just like Brad, like all these people that are in my life that I can anecdotally take things from. We are iterating, right? Like, so the next iteration of this, I believe, is I want to give the consumer a place that they can just look at houses. So to give you like the tactics, or like Shannon showed you guys one of my house tour videos where I was like, this house is 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It's open concept, blah, blah, blah. Those videos do okay. The videos that we give payments of, like this is the down payment, this is the monthly cost, this is what it looks like to own this financially, are outperforming those like 1,800 to 1. Like they are eclipsing the performance of the videos that we just say, hey, come take a house tour. And I was testing it with my own content, testing it with my team members' content, and consistently across the board, when I say this is how much it costs to own this $1.2 million house, walk through this scenario with me, it is doing significantly better. So I thought about my real estate business being like a store in which people could walk into and buy shit or like consume stuff. And I've decided I have like 20 videos banked right now. I'm like, I don't know if I want to publicly commit to this, but I'm supposed to be launching a new page on Thursday of this week to allow me to post Thursday and Friday. But this new page is going to be exclusively house tours, exclusively. And that's all I want there to be on this page, because I think there's an audience of people that just want houses. They don't give a fuck about me. At the same time, I think Ken Posic's like Orlando Real model is brilliant, right? I think there's a lot of value to doing this like very local community-based stuff. And I'm not quite there yet, but I will be starting a new page that is exclusively community focused stuff, right? And I think this is like pretty helpful for real agents, or as anybody on here with like team members. Is one frustration that I was having with my small team is that they kind of felt like it was expected to get video content, like, oh, they're here, we have this video guy, like we're going to make videos. And it began to really frustrate me, because I was like, nah, I'm not going to squander these resources to make these videos, spend my guys' money on like just for you to make a video that's going to go into the ether within 48 hours, right? So I've been thinking about how to leverage sort of having my in-house media guy and like my small team wanting to use these resources. And I said, that's okay. Let me take better control of it. So now like everybody can go shoot house tours. They record the voiceover. They get the numbers from the lender, and then I will take back control. I'll post it on the new page. They will collaborate with that new page. Every video will have a ManyChat automation that like captures their information. Very basic, like through my IDX feed, like nothing too sophisticated, like, you know, like the IDX feed that we all have through our website. And that's it. There's just going to be house tours on it. And that's been something that I've been like birthing and creating that should be launched by the end of the week or so, because I really believe in just creating sort of the funnel, top of the funnel, people that just want to consume house porn. And then on my page, they want to get to know me, educational stuff, my listing stuff. Agents will still be like, my page is going to be what I am doing related to houses, but I need there to be an outlet. And this has really changed my frame of thought, because when I started, it was like, you should only have one Instagram page. And I still think you should only have one Instagram page if you don't have the bandwidth for multiple. Like at this point, I have people helping me with things, so it's not all on me. So like if one page is all that you can handle, don't do anything beyond that, right? But if you're at a different level of this game, think about creating a platform or a, you know, a vacuum for the people that like might not fuck with Ray individually, but they sure as shit want to see every single house in Arkansas.
I love that. I just started doing that on YouTube. I'm like in the very baby stages of a YouTube channel. And for a while I had like listing videos and this and that. And I realized like I need to separate the listings out on a separate channel. But I think that's a really great idea on the Instagram space as well. And especially because it looks like y'all do so much listings. At least it seems that way now. Like your listing business has grown tremendously, probably through social.
Yeah, it's
So that's
helped.
awesome.
I think like, so when you say YouTube, this is another thing, and this is like me changing my approach. For 6 years, I made one piece of content and I distributed it everywhere. I just didn't have the bandwidth to make like LinkedIn specific content, right? Or my long form content on YouTube would get chopped up into short form to get posted on Instagram. I don't think so. Look at your social platforms, and you don't have to get everything from everyone everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like I got, so like year to date, I think I'm at 13 agent to agent referrals. They all came through Instagram. So in my opinion, Krys Benyamein needs to continue to speak to real estate agents. But Krys Benyamein on YouTube doesn't have to speak to real estate agents. Krys Benyamein on YouTube could talk to whoever the hell he wants to, right? Like, who do I want to communicate to on that audience? So think about that. And maybe like your consistent being on video isn't being on Instagram 5 days a week. Maybe it's 1 or 2 days a week on Instagram, and then it's 1 day a week on YouTube. Or maybe it's one day a week on like, I don't know, like what's the neighborhood app? Neighborhood?
Next door or
Next
something like
door?
that. I don't know.
Next
Yeah.
door? Yeah, it's like I go to these sessions and people are like, dude, I'm crushing it on the Next Door app. And I was like, fuck, that's brilliant. You know what I mean? Or the Facebook group. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's what I would say as far as the identity on platforms or what to consider as you're starting these pages.
All right. And any last piece of advice? One of the things I always ask everyone on the show is like, how are you getting actual transactions from it? Like beyond just the posting, like what do you have a strategy for connecting and actually having conversations?
Yeah, so I have not taken it as far as Ed Stulak. I think Ed sends everybody a personal video message. I've been with him a handful of times that I've seen him crank out these videos, and it's really impressive. Like, I'm not doing that. I do have somebody helping me send direct DMs as soon as I get a new follower. So it's like, hey, Ray, see that you're in the business. Let me know if there's anything I can do to support you. If it's somebody that's a consumer or it's questionable what they are, hey, Shannon, like I believe in real relationships. I know it can be a little awkward, like on Instagram. I'm always here if you need anything. Something that can kind of like break the water or break the ice with these new ones. But separate from that, I'm sending a lot of video DMs. A lot of video DMs, right? So if I am scrolling through the feed or scrolling through the story and I see anything that catches my attention, I am like just responding to it. So, I mean, it's literally that mindless and that. So like, let's just see this first one. I would scroll through my stories
Okay.
and I would look for the first non-realtor. Lots of realtors. Let's find Tim, Brad. Let's find a, okay, here, this guy. Oh gosh. Okay, so this guy clearly shared some sort of GoFundMe page. Remember, these people both exist, just as amazing Olympians. Oh, this guy's sharing something about the Special Olympics, donating what you can, help random people, but you're helping all of us in the future. Be a role model. That's it. That's as much as I'm going to consume. I'm going to go to my messages. I'm going to open the video. I'm going to look at myself. Andrew, my man, I love what you shared. And honestly, it makes me think that I need to get out of my own head more often. God bless you. I will definitely find some sort of platform that I can donate to. I'll check out this cause and just hope you're doing well, brother. I hope he's not a real estate agent, so he's not going to watch this recording. And then I'll just send something like that. The last message that I sent him on Instagram was July 8th. So it's been like a month plus. And that's it. And I think if you send 5 of those a day or 10 of them a week or whatever cadence you feel like you can get committed to, remember, you're just trying to start conversations with people and then get it to real estate. Like I didn't say, Andrew, help me sell a house and then I'll have money to donate. Like I'm talking to him about whatever he wants to talk about. And that starts the conversation.
No, I love that. And that was another strategy. Several people have said it. They're like, you're sick of only seeing realtor stories. Like go find your clients and whatever. And just the more you engage with them, their stories are going to show up more frequently and your stories are going to show up more frequently. So also think about who you're DMing, but that's a great tip as well. I need to get better at the video DMs. But that's a really cool, like next level. I kind of do the same thing where I just send the message, but the video is like a whole nother level of putting it personally.
The one that I'm about to start. So, I just got like hooked up with this. So I don't know what they're charging for it. I should like know this. KCM is doing like local data. Have you guys seen that in the KCM stuff?
I haven't
Okay.
explored it, but I know they're doing it.
I'm not getting paid for any of this shit, but I really like Keeping Current Matters. And Keeping Current Matters now has like a section where you can put in a zip code to get like local market data. And it's no different than what you could find on your MLS, but the chart looks kind of nice. I am taking and I work a lot of markets. I am taking all of the charts of like median home price or inventory, just like all the charts that are easy to synthesize, and I'm saving them to my camera roll so that I can send green screens to people like effortlessly, not to share on the internet, but that I can either text message or video DM like, my boy Jordan, I know that you're looking in the San Diego area. We've been on pause for a minute. Check out what is going on with home prices. This is big. Let me know when you're ready to talk. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Think
Yeah.
about how effortless it would be if you just had all of those charts on your phone, and then it's just like, all right, Shannon's in the Austin area. Here's my chart. Let me, it's going to be the same thing, every one of them, just referencing what's in the chart. Because like, dude, the whole checking in, like, it's just garbage. Like, I'm checking in. You guys know this. Like,
All right. Does anyone have questions? We've got like about 15 or so minutes left. So who has a question for Krys? You can either come off mute and ask something, or you can drop it in the chat.
you and me both, Ray. I'm putting you, me both.
How about something that is like the biggest takeaway? You could also drop that in the chat. Like if Krys said one thing where you're just like, oh my gosh, that resonated so well, go ahead and drop that in the chat, or you can come off and share like what's one thing that you're going to start implementing.
Hey, Krys, can I ask a quick?
Yes.
What's up?
Andrew.
Yeah, please.
All right. So you mentioned the agent to agent referrals that you get from your Instagram channel, and that makes sense. Like I'm an agent in Northeast Florida, and I love watching your stuff. The one you did, by the way, that was like you by the sign, and the couple drives by, and then you're in the backseat of the car. That was insane. That was so funny. But I can see where that would turn into agent to agent. But is your strategy with this new channel, for those of us that are just trying to generate buyer and seller leads, we're not so much looking for other agents. Is that kind of the strategy you would go as opposed to what you have now?
Yeah, if I could start it all over again, like hindsight's 2020, but I think the hyper local stuff or local to whatever you have access to is the name of the game. And I think that can happen one of two ways. It can be house stuff, like that's the most obvious, and that's probably going to result the fastest. It might not satisfy all your creative needs. Or alternatively, it can be community-based stuff, right? Where you're profiling local businesses or you're telling people about the local parks. I don't think this is the drunk monkey on my shoulder. I think when we put real estate agent on anything we're doing about the community, people to an extent think we're fucking going to try to sell them something. Like maybe this is just like, it is what it is. So Ken at Real Estate Video Blueprint, and if you guys haven't gone to that, like you really need to go to Video Blueprint. Ken on stage said, I am not a real estate company that makes media. I am a media company that sells real estate. And I don't know why it resonated with me so much, but I love that he's created platforms in which his agents are news anchors. And I love that sort of like approach to where they're delivering the news. I don't even know if that chubby guy with the beard is a real estate agent, but like I know he has some guy making content that's like constantly whatever. So like I think that if I'm focused on the consumer, I would do a lot of stuff based on the consumer that I want to be in front of. And I would figure out how to do more with less. So I probably would lean harder into YouTube, and then I would cut it up into pieces and put it on Instagram, because I think that could be more bang for your buck, so to speak. And the other thing about the consumers, because like we get a buttload. So last year we did 97 transactions. 43% started like on the internet, right? And I'm not saying 43% were just like new cold leads, but like people that we've transacted with, friends of family who we've transacted with. The sphere is on the internet, right? So you have to find moments, and this is not necessarily the stuff that you're manicuring, but this is like the real-time shit. So this is like small stuff. Every time we open an escrow or close an escrow, like I know you guys, if you're following me, you've probably seen me share some of these on my story. We always try to get like the buyer or seller on a Zoom call to say congratulations. Like we always want to say congratulations on Zoom because it's nice to see their face. But with their permission, because now it's like I got to ask their permission before I blast it on the internet in case they don't want somebody to know that they bought a house. We take a screenshot, I tag them, and then they reshare that. That's like the most dynamite social proof that they are doing the work for you. So, it's not all about new leads. It's like, how do you stay top of mind for the database that you're already, trying to figure out how to stay in front of? I hope that's helpful, Andrew.
Kelly, you've got your hand up.
Is this Atlanta? Yeah.
Yeah, hey Chris. I was at REVB too, so I saw your talk there and I loved it. So I have a question for you just in terms of like getting to the next level. So I don't have a videographer. I edit everything myself right now. I've got roughly 2,000 followers. Where did you start to see change? So what I've noticed so far with all of my everything that I do on Instagram is really solidified my sphere. Like my sphere, the people I went to high school with that I haven't talked to in 20 years, like they're coming to me. But I'm not getting any strangers yet. I'm not getting agent referrals through the internet yet. So is the next step, I guess, two questions, like, is there a certain follower count where you started to see that transition, or do I need to start doing something with a videographer? Like, what's the next level, I guess you'd say?
Great questions. And now that you're full screen, Kelly, I totally recognize your face and remember. Let me ask you a question about like the editing. Do you find it cathartic or do you enjoy it? Or is it sort of like a release for you creatively? Like, or is it like, fuck, I hate this?
Oddly both, because sometimes I really enjoy it because I like how I'm making the video. Like I'm like, oh, that's a good spot to have that like punch or that hook. But I think it's the quantity because I don't just do it in 2 seconds. I'm like pretty particular about it, but it's the quantity that I think probably burns me out because I'm like, oh, I have to churn all these out, but I can't spend that amount of time or energy in each one of them.
Totally. So I would say don't hire a videographer. Don't hire somebody to make the stuff for you. I think if you have the bandwidth to keep shooting your stuff, I would continue shooting it. And I would pay somebody to edit it for you because that is probably like the bigger bottleneck. I don't think that there's like a magic time in which it's like everybody's business. I am going back and forth between trying to decide, do I hire an inside sales agent? Do I have the budget? Do I make the budget? Do I just spend the money to hire somebody that's going to pound the phones? Like as soon as you pass something off of your plate, Kelly, you are going to have something more on your plate. So you have to ask, like, where is your time best served, right? Like there's not going to be a moment in time in which the clouds open and say, this is your opportunity, Kelly. It's not going to happen like that. And that's why I ask you, do you get joy out of editing the videos? Because some people do get joy, but I don't think that's what you should be doing from 9 to 12 every day. Right? Like that's not the money-making activity. So I would say shoot the content, find somebody on Fiverr, find somebody on onlinejobs.ph, reach out to somebody in this circle and get somebody to edit it for you because that will save a lot of time. And what was the second piece?
Like the second piece is like, when did you start to see the content perform outside of your sphere, like strangers and referrals?
3 years, maybe? Oh, well, so yeah, maybe 3 years. Like, and even now I'm just like, damn, dude, you're putting so much effort. If I just stopped doing videos and did something else, could I get 26 like referrals? What if I just sent everybody here a card? You know what I mean? Like everybody in the Buffini world doesn't do video and they're fucking crushing it and they drop stuff off at people's houses. Like there's a million ways to skin a cat, right? You just have to figure out like how you want to do it. So I think give it time. And then the other thing that I was going to say is if you're trying to get in front of new people, audit your content. So like how many days a week do you post, Kelly?
Right now I'm probably like 2 to 3 at most.
Beautiful. So at the end of your third post that week, like wait a week, see all 3. Or now that you've never done this, like just look at all your content and look at which one did the best, which had the most comments, which had the most shares. Don't worry about the likes. Like which one had the most comments, which one had the most shares. Put $20 behind it. That's pretty much how I approach a lot of the listing content that I'm putting money behind on the internet is like, if I'm posting 2 or 3 videos about a house in one single week, and I'm not going to put an ad behind everything, which one popped the most? That one gets $20 this week.
Okay.
I hope
Awesome.
that's
Kim has her hand up. Kim.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Great to see you, my friend. How are you? Do you guys
I
know you're
know.
amongst like a legend here? I don't know if everybody knows that Kim is the goat she is.
I don't know what kind of goat it is, but thank you.
Good to see you.
Just you too. Do you batch content? You do?
Yeah.
what's your schedule, or how do you typically do that?
So it was religious until I brought it in-house. And now that it's in-house, I'm like, oh, you got this luxury. He's going to film whenever you want to film. And that's like not a good way to approach it. So it was always 1 day a month, which I still think is like not a bad approach for most real estate agents. That 1 day a month is non-negotiably on the calendar. So whatever day is going to be the slowest for you, set it that day and film all the videos. So for me, at that time, it was 20 videos. Like it's still pretty much 20. I need 20 pieces of content a month. Like that's about what I need on average, 20 pieces of unique content a month. Depending on how creative or how crazy or what's going on, I could film that in 1 hour if they were all talking head. I could film it in 12 hours if I'm doing skits and, you know, some weird shit jumping out of a trash can. So like step one, like today's the 13th. I would say that on the 15th, I would put 2 hours on the calendar or 3 hours on the calendar, and I would come up with all 20 ideas. This is what I want to make. And now everything I'm making is like more shoot to kill, like more purposeful. So I would come up with all my ideas. And then the following week, you know, whatever that is, like the 22nd, I would have on my calendar filming day. And the day doesn't end until everything is shot, period. And then that would get.
And but when you do, yeah, that's great. If that makes sense. Do you have kind of like certain buckets, you know, buyers, sellers, agents that you're thinking of every time you put together one of your ideas, or is it more random?
So it's been like truthfully, and this is where I fucked up. So like, you know, learn from my mistakes. But as my listing business has grown and as I've not wanted to like make time to make other content, all my stuff is like my listings lately. And that sucks. Like it's just not what people want all the time. And I've been thinking more about, you know, everything I did to get here and just the content and where I want to put my effort. And truthfully, I think having buckets is the right way. Like, do as I say, don't do as I do, because like I've strayed away from what I know works. So right now, I think it's huge for people to be giving education, like just basic stuff. Like this is what it looks like to get into a transaction. This is what happens with interest rates. Like I think the real estate agent is going to watch and listen to whatever you do regardless. Like agent to agent content doesn't have to be, hey guys, look at my proof of concept piece, like copy, recreate this. Like real estate agents are really smart. So if they see you make a consumer focused video, that's still agent to agent content, right? Like they're just like, fuck, I need to make that for the consumer. So I would lean in. I would say like your personal life is a big thing. You have a beautiful family, Kim. Like you have an awesome family. Like share that. People connect with you on that. You work with sellers, talk to sellers and like tips that you could give them, what's happening in the market high level, right? Same thing with buyers. The market information just has to be spinned a different way for the buyer versus seller, right? Like inventory affects a buyer differently than it does a seller, but it's the same factoid. So I think that's a place. Our local, like whatever, you know what I mean? Like don't think out of the box. Like you go to dinner with your family to the local pizza shop that everybody loves, just film it on your iPhone. Just film it on the iPhone and record a voiceover later. That's why I'm doing so many more voiceover videos. You can crank those bitches out, you know, so much easier than talking at the camera.
That's awesome. I like it. Thank you.
That's helpful.
All right.
Very.
We're almost at the top of the hour. So thank you again, Krys, so much for just taking your time. I know you're a super busy person, and this was like your video creation day that I disrupted your flow today, but we're so grateful for everything you shared so much. And if you're not following Krys on Instagram, he is at Krys Benyamein, which I'm dropping in the chat right now, but you can definitely follow him if you're not already. And then I will send out replays to this to everyone who registered. And it will also be, I have a YouTube channel that has all the like previous replays as well. So any questions, you can message me or Krys, and we're always here to help.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.